don't be cheap when you're paying people who help you out, right? So prime example, we got this flip that we're working on currently, well, almost done working on, but an agent brought us the house because I think I talked about this before, but I sent out an offer on a listing he had. It was a multifamily property. I was like $10,000 off. I didn't want to come up on the price. Anyway, I lost the deal. I should have came up 10 grand. That's a whole nother story. But I told him after, the deal went through, I was like, hey, we flip a lot of houses. We do turnkeys. We do this. We do that. If you ever come across anything, send it my way. We take it with open hands, right? So long story short, this guy knew this other guy who flipped houses that was getting out of it. He had this deal and he hooked us up. He didn't expect anything, right? So he hooked us up with this guy. We ended up buying the house from him and it was awesome, right? It's a great flip. So now that the house is done, we're going to have him, before that, we threw him a few $1,000s just for getting us the house. He wasn't expecting anything. He was super happy. So boom, super, super happy. He was just happy that the guy that we bought the house off of was an old client, and he was just happy that he was able to help his old client out, right? So he wasn't expecting to get paid on the front end of the deal. So that made him super happy. Now that we're done with the house, we're going to have him listed. And again, he wasn't expecting that. I just called him. I was like, hey, I really appreciate what you did for us, hooking us up with this deal. And he's sent me other deals. They just haven't worked out yet. But I asked him to run the comps for me. What do you think the house was worth? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, hey, I would love for you to list it for us. And he's like, man, I would love to. Thank you so much. And he's like, I'll help you guys out and, only do it for 2%. And I was like, hey, man, I appreciate it. But you know what? I want you to keep the whole 3% because, right, you got to put work in. And I want to make sure that, I just told him straight up, I want to make sure that every time you get a deal, that's a deal like this one that comes across your table, you're going to bring it to me and no one else, right? So super, super important to do that stuff, right? Obviously the deal works, the deal made sense, and we were able to do that, right? If the deal wouldn't have made sense, we probably wouldn't have just done the deal altogether, right? This hat is really hot. So I always find that this works best, right? Because when you work with people and you make a relationship with them like this, and they know that, right? So here's the prime example. He's got two houses. He gives me a house. He gives the other guy a house that's maybe cheap, right? Maybe that other guy won't have him listed because he wants to list it himself and save the 3%. Well, guess what? When this guy gets another deal, guess who he's going to bring it to? Right? He's not going to bring it to the cheap guy. He's going to bring it to the guy that paid him twice for one deal, right? So always make sure, mostly with agent, even with wholesalers, right? Sometimes a deal works and people still try to negotiate on it just so they have more room. But to me, I don't mind paying a wholesaler whatever their fee is, even if it's crazy, as long as it still works on my end, right? And I think that's just a very good way of doing business, right? Just if it works on your end, don't count someone else's money, right? If it works like the numbers work and I'm still meeting my targets, why do I need to make a little extra just because maybe the guy over here didn't do as much, or his job was easier and maybe he's making a better return than you are on a flip or something like that, right? But right, never count people's money. That's how I always look at it. I just think it's very unprofessional. Right, so if a wholesaler brings you a property and I don't know, maybe his wholesale fee is 50 grand. Let's just say this dude gets a property, if you're from Michigan, gets a property, a 3-bed, 1-bath bungalow in Red Run in Royal Oak for $50K under contract. Okay, that's a great deal. Well, this guy maybe wants to sell it for 150, so he wants an assignment fee of 100 grand. I would pay that all day, right? I would probably pay more. I'd probably pay him 120. Right, if the deal was sweet enough, right? Just because I know if in that area I can buy the house and still make a really good profit on it, right? So kind of that's the moral of the story. And when you do stuff like that, people bring you more deals, right? Because they don't got to deal with the guy that's like, oh, that door handle's crooked and that door's kind of weird and the cabinet door and the countertop's got a nick, and just like pick all these things and try to get them down like a few $100s on the price. Like, that's just a pain in the ass, right? If the deal works, the deal works, and don't look at what the other people are making, right? If it makes you what you need it to make, all day, right? Pay whatever fees a real estate agent, and plus you should never want a real estate agent that is willing to take lower than a fee, right? Because that just means that they're not valuing themselves enough, and maybe that's because they're not bringing that much to the table, right? So just food for thought. But anyway, hopefully this video made sense, and pay your wholesalers, pay your real estate agents, pay whoever's bringing you deals or whoever's bringing stuff to the table that's helping you be successful and make money, and don't be stingy with those guys. So anyway, hopefully this video helped, and if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime.